Hello there. Today we're going to talk about word processors. Start off with a quote. Tools. Use the best tools for the job. If your tool is only okay, your work will only be okay. It's one of those management quotes that people often troll out to try and get you to be a great manager. Well, maybe. Microsoft Word is the only one of a million word processors that are available to you, although it's very rare in education to see anybody using anything other than Microsoft Word. But as someone who uses Microsoft Word every day, I can understand why it's popular. It's got loads of great features. It corrects your spelling and your grammar. It handles graphics and graphs and tables, and it's free with your computer, with your school laptop. Excellent. Having said all that, though, it does have some shortcomings. It's a bit complicated. Try teaching it. Its screen is cluttered. There are often many steps and clicks to get at what you really want to do, and sometimes it just doesn't do what you expect it to do. Something I try with people is to cost their time and see how expensive doing certain tasks can be. Pretend you were paying cash for it. For example, if I was worth 50 quid an hour, how much money would it cost me to write up a set of minutes in Microsoft Word? Half an hour, 25 quid? What about a lesson plan or a scheme of work or handouts? It tends to get quite expensive, in fact, and particularly if the documents are actually really quite rich with lots of graphics and lots of stuff in it. They can take a lot of time to do. They're really expensive. Think of it in that term. They're actually using your time, and they are really expensive. So I find documents which require styling and page design tend to cost more in Microsoft Word than letters and minutes. Trying to get a document to look right seems to be expensive. Perhaps Microsoft Word, though, is the wrong tool for doing that kind of document. Perhaps we should use desktop publishing software or something else. After all, computers are supposed to save us time, not waste it. Well, on your laptop, you'll usually find Microsoft Word, but there is also a number of other writing programs already built in that you might find pretty useful. Firstly, Notepad. Now, Notepad's a very, very simple little app which saves just the text. It doesn't do things like justification and formatting and bold and italic and all that kind of stuff, but it just saves the actual text characters themselves, and saves them in a way that every program can pretty much understand as a .txt, a .text file. There's no spell check and no layout options, but it's great for taking notes and also for bashing out text when you don't want to be confused by the underlining, the green underlining or the red underlining that Microsoft Word does for you. Lots of professional writers use programs like Notepad to just bash the text out and get their first draft. Once they've got their first draft, they tend to then put it into Microsoft Word, where they can start thinking about some of the spelling mistakes they've made and the formatting and all the rest of it, just to make it a little bit more sophisticated. Notepad is distraction-free, which is great. Secondly, on the PC, you've got something called Wordpad. Now, this is a bit more sophisticated than Notepad. It includes some simple styling, such as font size, bold and italic, left, right and centre justification. That's about it, I think. It's pretty much all the tools you need to do simple word processing, like letter writing and minute taking and all that kind of simple, straightforward stuff. It saves in a different format. It saves in something called rich text format. That means it saves some of that formatting information, but Microsoft Word can read that as well, so if you want to do any more sophisticated stuff, you can still load that file into Microsoft Word, and many other programs as well. RTF files can be loaded into lots of stuff as well. I like to think of it as being a little bit more sophisticated than the old-fashioned electric typewriters, and it's a good way of explaining what Wordpad can do when you talk to other people. It's not the tool for writing your novel on, or is it the one you're going to do your big scientific treatise on? It's not good for graphics, but it's wonderful, simple, and it's solid and stable. It's a great program. So using these three programs together makes good sense. So if you want a distraction-free writing experience, bashing it out in Notepad is the way to go. Sit down in a coffee shop with a cup of tea and get going, and you can get all the text captured down. If you want to do some simple word processing or help Aunt May with her letter writing and thank you cards, then actually, Wordpad is pretty much all you need. But if you want to take those files and do something more with them, then put them into Microsoft Word, and that's probably a good way to go. Microsoft Word comes into its best when you want to do that second stage, style a document and begin to lay it out. Sometimes starting with Microsoft Word feels like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Of course, starting with Microsoft Word can sometimes feel like you're being forced into using a particular layout and forced into a particular way of thinking and making compromising. It's a bit weird. So consider using Word as step 2 in your writing workflow, if you will. If you do want to write a novel, by the way, there are some great programs. There's like Master Writer is a really, really good writer's program, and Storyist as well. They give you space to actually work on your characters, and you've got access to different bits of space to write different bits of information and to pull different bits of information. They actually make writing long form text really, really interesting. And if you're doing a screenplay, they won't even touch Microsoft Word. You've got to use Final Draft. Final Draft is like the industry standard program for doing any form of screenplay, scripts and screenplays and so on like that. Another program to recommend if you're a Mac user, look at Scrivener. Scrivener is just wonderful. It's a great, great tool if you like writing. Anyway, there's going to be more on Microsoft Word coming up because I know it's a tool that teachers use all the time. So hopefully this has given you a little way of thinking about different ways of approaching your word processing. Cheers.